Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. It is January 7th, 2025. Hope 2025 has been treating you all well so far. Stock market is looking strong. Definitely has some challenges, but things overall continuing up. We're going to talk about that a little bit through the lens of ES, as we always do. Then we'll get through some trade plan recaps. We've got both Hood and Unity software, Robinhood, I should say, and Unity software from last Thursday's live stream. And then we'll also take a look at NVIDIA, AMD, and Tesla. Those were the member selected tickers from the Xtrades Discord. Good morning, QS and Plug. New trader here, ready to go. Okay, yeah, well, actually, Plug's one that I'm also interested in taking a look at. So yeah, we'll take a look at that, and then I also happen to be a QS shareholder, so I'm fine with looking at both of those. What's up, Navy Plum? Good morning to you. So yeah, new trader, we can take a look at both of those this morning. I think we'll have time for that. As I was saying, we have NVIDIA, AMD, and Tesla from the member-selected trade plans that we did for the Xtrades Discord community on Sunday evening. And then, of course, just a reminder for those of you who have had your heads in the sand, maybe today, I think it's today, right, is CES. Let me double check that, or somebody confirm for me. God, as soon as I said it, I was like, maybe I should, yeah, starts today, goes through Friday. But I think today is the day that Jensen's supposed to speak. Yeah, he's delivering the keynote address. I think that's today. Or they already do it? Hang on a second. How did I miss that? Oh, they did already do it. Okay. So, man, I should have caught up on that. I thought that was later today, but I'll also not pretend that I had done a ton of homework on it. I think I just knew that it was today and assumed that it would be happening sometime like midday or this afternoon versus before market open. So market has overall responded positively to that. We'll see how that catalyst keeps pushing, especially once cash session, God, try saying that 10 times fast, opens up for the markets. It'll be interesting to see if this doesn't turn into a sell the news event. If it doesn't, that would be very promising for NVIDIA. I've kind of been, while I'm extremely bullish on NVIDIA, especially in the long term, I'm a pretty decent chunk of my short-term portfolio is in NVIDIA currently. I certainly am not bearish on them by any stretch of the imagination, but we all know that even if Jensen came out and said the most amazing bullish things in the world, CES could have still turned into a sell the news event. But so far, if you look at NVIDIA pre-market, new all-time high, trying to break over and flip. Actually, we've got the close above, so now we're trying to flip to support this 152.65. That was our PT3 from the plan over the weekend. So yeah, NVIDIA looking super strong post keynote address delivered by Jensen. So that's good to know. That kind of really changes some things that I was going to talk about this morning. So, but again, let's see how it reacts at open. Let's see if it doesn't pull back and wind up seeing some profit taking at all-time highs. There are no bag holders anymore, so it's very easy for folks to start to take profits on a trade when they're nice and green on it. So anyway, what's up, Unknown Reviews? Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. So let's dig in. Let's start talking about some of this stuff instead of talking about it. So ES, we've talked about this range down here between 58.93, 75, and 58.70 a few times. We saw one bounce out of it, strong bounce out of it back in December. We talked about a potential double bottom out of this range on, I believe it was probably on Thursday's live stream pre-market. Sure enough, we did get that bounce out of there. It's pushed up to test this key resistance there at 60, 68.50. There's another one that kind of, if you think about it, almost creates another little area of support and resistance here between 60.32 and 60.68. What's up, Theo? Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well, brother. So ES is pushing up into that, but rejected that first attempt. That's, fine. No big deal there. Did hold the 200 SMA and has continued to hold it on these back tests after breaking back above, and is now trying to grind over the 333 and seems to be reclaiming that as support. So if we can get over 60.32, I would expect another test of 60.68, and perhaps on this test we can break through it and try to continue up for the 6100 range here on ES. So again, things overall looking strong, looking bullish now that we are getting into kind of the first full trading week. When I say kind of, first full trading week of 2025. And the reason why I say kind of is because of the markets being closed Thursday. So this is a reminder of that. Markets will be closed Thursday in remembrance of Jimmy Carter, former U.S. president that died at 100 years of age recently. So markets will be closed Thursday. And because of that, even though you've probably seen, if you've looked at any of the schedules where I post these streams to, that we have currently, I should say, a live stream planned for Thursday, considering that the markets are going to be closed. I don't know if that'll be kind of a great morning to do a live stream. So we'll probably not have one this coming Thursday, but we will be back next Tuesday and back on the regular schedule after that. Just I kind of didn't realize that. I knew the markets were going to be closed on the 9th. I didn't realize that that was going to be a Thursday. So we will adjust our approach accordingly, considering that the markets won't be doing anything. Give us a day to maybe sleep in a little extra or something like that. So with that being said, we talked about ES market schedule. Let's get into some trade plan recaps then. Let's get to work on some of these new trade plans. I know that's what you all are here for anyway. So NVIDIA, as I mentioned, pre-market, looking really good. Here over our call entry and pushing higher. Never really gave a good backtest opportunity, and really kind of had made too much of a move. So, if I was going after this with options, I just continued to ride my shares yesterday. But if I was going after this with options, it would have been a no trade for me anyway, because we moved so hard above and never really got a good backtest of our call entry there at 146.46. If I was going to look to modify this plan, kind of on the fly talking about it, we've got this tight PT2 and PT3, and actually let me pull this up on I thought I had this pulled up on the recap chart, so it's a little bit easier to just see those plan levels. Hang on, give me one sec. There we go. It looks a little cleaner. So again, we never really got that nice back test of the call entry that we would have wanted, with it opening right up against PT1 there out of the gate. But we do have these two levels that are here pretty tight together, and then we've got a big stretch before we hit PT3 up there at 152.65. So if I were to try to, so I guess I'm trying to give you all some advice here on how you can modify these plans kind of on the fly if things do what we see here, which is a lot of the moves being made while we can't do anything from an options perspective, is I would flip this PT2 to a potential call entry if we get a good back test of it, flip PT1 to being the new stop loss, and then we would have PT3 from the original plan kind of as our ultimate target with a good risk reward, right? Decent risk area down there. Would look like this essentially. So it gives a nice 2.75 to 1 risk to reward ratio there. And sure enough, we did get a little dip below and push over, and it's captured PT3 and is trying to flip it to support here this morning. Really needs to hold VWAP going into the open. That's what I'd like to see for NVIDIA to continue bullish into the day today. But overall, yeah, it's looking strong. I'll go back and read the kind of the recap of Jensen's keynote. I did not at all realize it was going to be happening in the wee hours of the morning. I thought it was going to be sometime later this afternoon. So, yeah, my bad for not being a little bit more on top of that. But again, NVIDIA trade plan looking good, and also quick little kind of example of how you can modify and use these levels to your advantage, even if the plan starts to play out during the pre-market or extended hour session without us as far as an option standpoint or perspective goes, you can always trade those shares though pre-market. So yeah, Nvidia looking great. All targets hit. Keynote address, the kind of little snippets I was able to read sounded very positive. Again, I was kind of leaning toward, regardless of anything that Jensen said and the overall bullishness on Nvidia as a whole, I could have certainly seen CES being a sell the news event, but that has not played out so far. So I'd say that's even more bullish for Nvidia looking forward. So keep an eye on it. Let's go back to the full playbook chart for Nvidia actually, and see what fib extensions we have overhead to kind of keep those on watch. Yeah, the next one I'd be looking at is 154.71, and then over that 156.76 if you want some kind of additional targets above what we're currently seeing on Nvidia. AMD trade plan, we talked about this one yesterday in the chat. I was actually in the process of trying to type out, don't chase this move on Nvidia, guys, just talked about Nvidia, on AMD. Wait for a back test of the call entry to take your entry on it. As I was typing that, it dropped real hard and tapped that entry level. And so I personally, jumped into kind of a lotto position on that back test of 127.37. But then as soon as I went to go try to type the alert, that dip got bought up immediately. So really, it kind of just moved so laser fast. I mean, if we went and look at this, let's see, on the 2-minute, I mean, even the 2-minute has a big wick on it. So, I mean, you're talking about a move that touched 127.37 and was back up to 128.14. So almost a $1 move within a small period of time. So there was just, to me, it became kind of inactionable. My entry was going to be so far different or so far removed from what anybody else was going to get. It wasn't, worth alerting. Or I didn't think it was good to alert at that point. And then again, as I was typing out the recommendation to wait for that back test versus chasing anything right out of the gate, I saw the opportunity and had to pounce on it. So anyway, we did get a nice back test of that. And the other thing that I really liked about this back test, just to talk about it real quick, yeah, and I think AMD's due for a comeback, Theo, in my personal opinion. Now, due for it means it should be on our watch list. It doesn't mean go ahead and buy just because you think it should bounce eventually. It means, okay, let's come up with some plans and focus on Nvidia with our plans for the near term. Or God, I keep saying Nvidia, all these semiconductors, AMD. Did I say, have I kept saying Nvidia here? I mean AMD, AMD. Let's get it into our heads. AMD, Lisa Su, not Jensen Wang. AMD is due for a comeback. But again, just because we think it's due, that's kind of like saying the roulette table has hit red the last 10 times. It's due to hit black. Doesn't necessarily mean it's hitting black on the next spin, right? So I think that does put AMD, though, on the short list of tickers we should keep on watch, and certainly puts it on the short list of things that we should continue to focus on trade plans for as it looks to catch up with the rest of the sector, because overall AMD is a solid company and they make a great product. So yeah, I'll be surprised if it doesn't start to catch up with some of those other ones. Could be zero. Yeah, could be 0 or 0 too. Exactly. Yeah, 100%. That's why the odds are in the casino's favor, right? All those little things kind of shave those odds just enough to put things at their advantage, which is why I like to generally sell options contracts versus buying them, although I will buy them and trade them from time to time. Well, I shouldn't say from time to time, pretty often, but alongside of kind of a bigger picture selling of those options contracts, which is essentially generating a lot of the funds for trading the short-term options contracts and trading the SPY plan and stuff like that. So again, nice back test off that call entry. But the other thing that I really, huge Theta Gang fan, big time Theta Gang, bro. The other thing that I really liked about this back test here at 127.37 was also a back test of reclaiming the 333 SMA here on the hourly chart. We talk about the 200 and the 333 constantly. I hope you guys are putting these on your charts. If you don't have a way to do that, which there's plenty of free indicators out there for TradingView that'll map moving averages for you. I am more than happy to set you up for access to my ultimate moving averages script, totally free of charge as long as you're in Xtrades. paying member. I'm happy to give you access to that. I think it's probably, one of the better moving average indicators that I've seen available for TradingView. And I'm not just saying that because it's the one that I developed. I developed it because there wasn't one out there that kind of did what I thought a moving average indicator should be able to do, right? So that's why I went ahead and built one of my own. So if you guys ever want access to that, feel free to reach out. Happy to hook you up with that. It's called Ultimate MAs. I think there's probably a listing for it too on the on XHub somewhere, but there again, it should show free or zero cost. So just reach out if you want access to that. Happy to set you up. All right, so AMD got the back test, got PT1, and seems to be trying to flip PT1 to support here pre-market. So this one's looking great. Hope you took some profits, though, especially if you caught that entry with me. I mean, that moved so quickly. We were at PT1 off that bounce within 5 minutes. I mean, those contracts, I started scaling them out at like 80%. And that was before, we had even gotten to PT1. It just moved so quickly off that back test that, those options premiums spiked, and it was early into the trading day that everything just jumped all over the place. So AMD looking good, looking for that to continue. Yeah, 100%. And if you don't, yeah, thank you, Chris. Perfect. Yeah, so if you guys want access to that, just reach out, let me know. Happy to set you up. It's very useful, and it will allow you to put the 200 and the 333 on your chart, as well as kind of any other number of MA combinations that you could want. It's got an alert system built in. It's pretty slick as far as something that is handling some pretty basic type of calculations, but I tried to really put a moving average indicator on steroids when I developed that, essentially. So last but not least, from our member selected trade plans, we have Tesla. Tesla opened up above our call entry, pulled back, did give us some interesting looking back tests on some of these smaller time frames. This is one that I was almost considering buying. The thing that I didn't love about it from a Neptune perspective is it was just totally upside down, and we were also under a bearish flag, bearish ribbon, short signal. We did have the 200 underneath here, but at that point, by the time we started testing that, I was looking at that as a potential opportunity. Even though I don't really trade Tesla, I was thinking about maybe scooping some TSLL shares. Personally, I don't like to trade options on Tesla. It's just, it got put on my rule, like not in my no trade list early on into my trading career, and it's never come off. Don't ask me why. I just make plenty of money on everything else but Tesla. Why force it, right? Everybody's got their do not trade tickers. So, we kept rejecting this bearish ribbon and rejecting it pretty cleanly. So by the time we got to the 200 SMA, I was like, okay, well, if we get a bounce off that, I at least want to see it get back over the call entry and that bearish ribbon. That never happened, but it did catch the 333. We just talked about that on the hourly chart with AMD. Here we see it on the 5-minute chart with Tesla, giving that confluence to that stop loss average down level there at 402.92. So that might have been a good entry. I was not watching Tesla anymore at that point personally. Seems to still be holding that level, but losing some of these indicators on the 5-minute. Let's take a look at the 15. When in doubt, zoom out. Yeah, 15's looking pretty bearish as well. Let's check the hourly last but not least. Not a lot of help on the hourly really at all. Looks pretty mixed. So keep an eye on it. If it holds 402.92 going into the open, could be an interesting one for an entry. You could put your stop loss down there at 393.65, stop loss average down level, I should say, and put your first target at 413.34 if you decide to use that buy the dip opportunity, assuming Tesla's holding 402.92 going into the open. Yeah, I just, the thing that really kind of burned me on Tesla was, and maybe I'm getting into my, backstory when we should be focusing on technical stuff a little too much, but, I don't, it was early on into my time at Xtrades, one of those, somebody who I kind of looked up to and I thought was a much, better trader than I was at least at that point in time, better on the technical analysis front, I should say. at least at that point in time, had asked me, and I'm going to forget the guy's name. I mean, it was so many years ago now. Asked me, he's like, hey, man, give me your thoughts on Tesla. Like, I see some of the stuff that you're doing on these charts. Give me your thoughts on Tesla. This was like multiple splits ago. I think it was the first time that Tesla had ever tested like up in like the 300 range. And I think it ultimately like went to 2000 or something like that, maybe before it had one of its splits. But anyway, long story short is I called like the first and biggest breakout of all time for Tesla. And I missed it. I didn't do anything with it. I didn't do anything with my analysis because I didn't trust it yet at that point in my options trading career. And so, after that, I tried to revenge trade it or chase it. And every time I tried to revenge trade or chase it, it bit me in the ass. And so I was just like, you know what? I'm just taking this off my list. Like, I had my shot, I missed it, and now this has got me screwed up mentally. So, I'm not going to continue to force it and lose money in the process. So, no, it wasn't Guru. I forget who it was. It was somebody who wasn't quite at the analyst level, but somebody who, I saw like a lot of really good information coming from. And so at that point in time, I was like, oh yeah, I would like, I was working on my technical analysis skills. So I was just in the main options chat saying, hey, if you guys have something you want me to chart, throw it out there. I want to practice. And yeah, so I mean, I called that first Tesla breakout. It was running in this channel, but it had a little bit of a downtrend. And then, I even remember I can picture the chart in my head. It was in this really strong upward channel. It had this little bit of downtrend that was holding it back within that channel, and it caught the bottom of the channel, pushed through that downtrend, and just exploded from there. I mean, it was almost like a straight shot to 2000 from there if you zoomed out enough. And so, yeah, so I totally missed it. It screwed me up mentally with every trade I tried on Tesla after that. So I just said, you know what? There's plenty of other fish in the sea. This one's not being friendly to me. Also, I think the IV on Tesla is probably, I've kind of thought about taking contracts and looked at the options chain a couple of times. And it seems like the IV has, it's not great, but it's become a little bit more reasonable. Back then, the premiums on Tesla were so insane. So it was also, high risk, high reward, just taking one or two contracts on it. So anyway, that being said, let's get back onto the topic at hand. Hood, this was from our live stream Thursday, gave us the breakout there midday Friday. So we did this one Thursday morning. Nothing really happened at all on Thursday. Eventually gave us the breakout there midday Friday, back test, and keeps grinding higher toward PT1. So Hood looking good. It's all good in the Hood right now for that trade plan. And then Unity Software, this one's played out multiple times to the downside, ultimately catching that 200 333 combo, tied up together there very nicely. Pushed up to the call, or actually the shared stop loss average down there, level there at 25.71, and is pulled back and holding that put entry. So overall, flipping things and looking pretty bullish on Unity. This is another one that could be a decent buy the dip opportunity as long as we hold 24.79. I could certainly see or would be willing to take a shot at taking an entry on that. First target there at 25.71, and I would actually bump up the stop loss average down from 23.72 up to there 24.12, which is that what was that, a pre-market bounce there yesterday, pre-market low from yesterday. That would be my stop loss there on Unity. All right, let's get to some of these new TSLL or trade shares. I just don't touch Tesla options after my bad experience with it many years ago. On the Xtrades trial, can I get yeah, sure, Args, I'll set you up with a like a short-term access. Just make sure that once you sign up for a paid membership with Xtrades that you follow up with me and let me know that you've done that, so I can switch that to a longer term trial access for the ultimate moving averages indicator. So yeah, absolutely happy to do that. All right, let's get to some new trade plans. We got about 20 minutes left on our live stream this morning, so let's knock out some of these trade plans. New trader was in here bright and early with QS and plug, and I also see Unknown Reviews has Shop over there in the mix. Shop is actually another one that I've been looking at. So you guys are kind of looking at the same things I'm looking at the moment. Let's take a look at Plug, though. This one's kind of a, ooh, God, I didn't realize how cheap Plug was now, too. But they've gotten some really positive catalysts from this hydrogen tax credits news that's come out. Same thing with Oklo, which we are currently in, and a little bit underwater on our short calls, but we've got kind of that recent catalyst still looming. I think it will cool down and pull back and hopefully give us a chance to manage that short position. If not, we'll let the shares go. It was a quick but very solid return on those shares plus the premium. So, you know, we're not going to try to squeeze every last dime out of it and, you know, take a big hit on those short calls to do it. So, you know, that's part of the wheel strategy is if it gets called away, well, then you can go back to selling puts out of the money and try to get back in, hopefully at a lower price than what you had to sell the shares at. So let's take a look at Plug Power. This one, 20% move yesterday, up another 2% pre-market here, and very, very, very inexpensive. This is definitely one that I would be trading shares on, but let's see if we can't come up with a good plan to do that. Yeah, Plug used to be a hot commodity. I mean, I remember doing some of these levels up here in the, yeah, I was going to say, I think it one probably in the 50s. I think it was like not too long ago. 2021, it was up in the $50 range. The whole hydrogen sector, though, anybody that's been focused on hydrogens has just been getting crushed. Another one that you could look at if you want to see an example of that, fuel cell technologies, F-cell. This is another one that I used to trade a lot back in the day. And this one's also just totally gotten smashed. Looks like they just did a reverse split as well to try to keep their share price afloat, but they may have done it at just the right time because it was trading for pennies not too long ago. All right, but let's get back to the ticker that was requested. Let's take a look at Plug. Yeah, I don't love F-cell anymore. I think Plug's probably the better. Between the two, I'd be focused a little bit more on Plug than F-cell. Relative strength. Oh, reverse split. Yeah, sorry. I was like RS, relative strength. Yeah, I know they did the reverse split. So that I don't love. Like I said, that they did that to keep their share price afloat. And stay compliant with their listing requirements. So that's never a good look. Plug, I think, is a much better opportunity in the hydrogen sector. So let's take a look at it. And I'm going to go ahead actually just to keep any yeah, sorry if it says, Chris, yeah, if you would check with the devs, it should just say like free to Xtrades members or something like that. I don't know if X Hub. Yeah. Just ask them to change that. I intend for it to be free. It's not the most. I mean, I put a decent amount of work into building it, but I also want people to have kind of the base level indicators available to them. If they're paying for access to Xtrades, then I want them to have at least some decent tools in their tool belt. If they're not going to go as far as to go with something like Neptune. So yeah, if you don't mind, just check with the devs and see if we can't get listed for free for paying Xtrades members. And then I'm happy to give trials to anybody who is on an Xtrades trial as well. I'll just do a shorter, like if you're an Xtrades member, I'll set you up for, I think what I've been doing is setting them up for a year of access. And then, if it ever goes, if you ever lose access and you're still an Xtrades member, just DM me and I'll set you back up. And then for folks that are on a trial that aren't paying Xtrades members yet, I'll give you like a few weeks with it. And then if you wind up signing up for an Xtrades membership, let me know and I'll just extend that expiration period. All right. So that being said, yeah, I appreciate your help with that, Chris, very much. All right. So let's take a look at Plug here on the weekly. I want to expand this screen so bad, but I don't know what that's going to do to you guys trying to watch, so I'm not going to do it. I'm on my ultra wide monitor this morning. There is an interesting level right around here. Is it a little higher though? Hang on. It's the one thing that makes the charting on the weekly a little challenging, is it can be hard to see exactly where things are reacting. But I'm expecting it to be right around here. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and call that. I think that more recent bounce is noteworthy. Got a level there. So gapped up on the weekly. Yeah, there's a pretty good level there. Seems to be the one that we're wrestling with at the moment. That will most likely wind up being a call entry. Be surprised, or a long entry, whichever way you decide to go with it. Again, I would certainly recommend shares. Could be a good opportunity to get into a wheel position, right? Buy those shares, let it run up to, whatever we put as PT3 or PT2 or PT3, and then just sell some out of the money contracts, start to get some experience and a feel for how it works collecting premiums. For me, it's a very passive income background thing. Just let it do its thing while I focus on more proactive trades in the foreground, and it generates a lot of funds for actively trading and a lot of funds for just growth of the account and paying for fun activities. All right, let's see. Forced family fun time. Ooh, interesting, right? We've been talking about this 333 a lot this morning. Here we see big move on plug, tapping that 333 here on the daily chart and getting slapped down by it. So that's probably going to move up our call entry. If I'm being perfectly honest, I do not want to wrestle with that right above a call entry. Whoops. Or wait, do we have our... Yeah, no, we were looking at this potentially being a call entry. I think it's going to be higher now. Might even be waiting for like 416 possibly, but let's see how this maps out first. But I do not like that 333 rejection that we're seeing so far on plug, for what it's worth. Let's get this out of the way and get a little bit more real estate. Let me get back to that spot I was looking at, because I have not, in case you didn't notice when I had the chart up earlier, really done much work on the plug chart down this low at all. Yeah, I think we got a good level here, good daily level. Is it a little lower or a little higher? Yeah, I'd put that there. This may be a tad higher too. All right. Let me take a look. I think I've got enough candles in this more recent price action to figure out where these levels are at without having to do a bunch of back and forth into the past. This is a little bit lower. I marked that aggressively. There we go. That looks better. I'm not convinced about any of that, to be honest. Let's see if there's something right here. We got a couple of rejections near that. I was wrong about not needing to revisit the past. If there is a level near that, it's this level right here. Probably gives us a little bit of a... No, that still looks pretty good, actually. Okay. All right, so let's get into the 4 hour real quick. I just want to see if there's a couple of blanks we can fill in up here. I'm sure there's some other 4 hour levels, but in interest of time, I'm not going to be as thorough as I would if it was just me by my lonesome working on this stuff outside of market hours. Just want to catch any kind of really key 4-hour levels that might be sticking out like a sore thumb up in some of these ranges that are still pretty wide. Yeah, I like that level. Lots of tops around this area. Not seeing much else. So let's take a look at the hourly. Let's start to put this plan together. All right, so we know that around this 377, let me go ahead and mark that actually. No, sorry. 353 daily level also has, all right, I think we've got an opportunity then over 377 at this point. That's what needs to break. We shouldn't want to chase this. That also sets up a good stop loss. I know that it's still overhead, but it is what it is. There at 353. I just see too much trouble in the way until we flip that and start to test these as support for another push higher over that. Over that, though, does open a really nice risk reward shot up to that 416 level I mentioned earlier. Over that, I think it can make another nice move to 470, and then ultimately a retest of this 511 level is how I would be looking at the upside for plug there. My only question is, are we playing it too tight with that 353 stop? We could open up some room for a potential back test of that 333. Do see some dips getting bought up and some rejections near that level. Might need to be a little lower even. Looking at this hourly chart, like maybe off that recent double top rejection, there is a level, yeah, right around here. So I think let's actually stretch that out to, let me also check the risk reward on this though. I don't want to put us in a bad spot either. Should be pretty close. And again, this is really a plan built for shares. If you're not going to go with shares, go with like in the money leaps. So I don't love that. That puts our risk reward a little upside down. Is there a case to be made for a stop loss any higher though? Is the question. Let me, again, try to avoid this, but let's go back in time a little bit. That dip goes below before it gets bought up. I'm going to turn these off real quick. I just want to see what these candles are doing for a second. I feel like there's a level trying to build right around this 3. Could also be a psychological level. 347. It's a little, oh God, excuse me. Did I just go through puberty on the live stream? It's a little iffy still. It's not fully fleshed out, but I think, yeah, I like that. Let's use it. Could also be some psychological activity happening near 350. Puts us in a better spot risk reward wise. So yeah, let's go with that. 347 stop loss. Those are our upside targets to the downside for plug. I'm debating. Yeah, let's let 287 support give way before we get too aggressive playing downside or shorting shares. I'm not sure if it's shortable. I would imagine it is. But if it's not, the only way to play it short might be options. So keep that in mind. Again, I would go deep in the money with lots of time on any short positions. Same as the long side of the trade plan. So below 287, yeah, I'm looking at PT1 right around 241. Then 211 and then 179. That looks good to me. Retested that 179 low. Stop loss average down. Should we give it a little bit more room? I could certainly make a case for bumping it up to this weekly level. I think that that'll also leave a good risk reward intact for the downside trade plan. So these are our plug trade plans. Man, I let time fly by this morning. My apologies. Either time's moving fast or I got a little too into the weeds here on this plug trade plan, which is also a very likely possibility. I do like how that's setting up indicator wise. That puts our put entry or short entry right at about when Neptune will flip things over bearish. Also puts our PT1 very close to that double SMA setup below with the 200, 333 both right there. So indicators adding some validity to our plan, and that we're looking at some good levels that will have confluences at those points ultimately. So here is the plug trade plans. Let me get my words out correctly. Actually, sorry, live stream plans. All right, cool. Let's go. There's that and that. And last but not least, options watch list. All right, so let's talk about these plug live stream plans. What are we looking for? We're looking for a break over 377 to play long or go in with calls. Again, I highly recommend shares regardless of which way you decide to trade plug or which way plug gives us the opportunity to play it, I should say. Over 377, we're looking at targets at 416, 470, and then on up to 511 with a stop loss average down there at 347. I don't think I need a 346 and a 347 level. That's excessive. To the downside, let me fix this. That's a little low. This is also a little high. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 287. That should give us targets at 241, 211, and 179 with a stop loss average down at 322. Those are your plug trade plans. Let's go. All right, unknown reviews, just so I can give everybody some opportunities to have their tickers looked at. If we have time, I will circle back to QS New Trader. But let's take a look at shop for unknown reviews over in the YouTube side of the house. Yeah, shop is one that I started looking at pretty recently, and honestly the reason why I started looking at it was because like everything that I've ordered recently is like asking me to track it through the Shopify app. So, and we've known that they are trying to come in and take some market share from Amazon. Online shopping always going to be a strong performing sector as long as the US consumer is strong. I expect online shopping to be very strong. And while the US consumer is a little beaten up at the moment, there's no denying that. I think they are ultimately still strong, still participating, still spending money. All right, so let's see if we can't knock out this plan pretty quickly. And this, I think, is this? No, okay. So we're running back through some older levels, so that's okay. We've got history to guide us. Let's hide the indicators for just a little bit so I can focus on these levels. All right, these rejections, did these come from an existing support and resistance level? There is one right, yeah, there is one right there. It was quick back here, rejection bounce, but really nice reactions on both of those. Yeah, that also looks like a solid level here on the weekly. Let's see what we have overhead. Clearly we've got something there. Yeah, these shop levels are a little bit more apparent, I'll say. Easier to spot a little. There's something going on in this range. I don't know if it's a clean weekly level, but there's something going on up there. May not even need to look that high for our trade plan, but I saw it, so I marked it. Same thing here. I think there's something going on there, but I'm not sure what it is yet. We'll find out as we zoom in and dig through some lower time frames. This seems to be the level that Shop is testing here pre-market though. So that's of interest. Anything in this range? Not that I can see. So let's go ahead and get to the daily chart. Into the Wayback Machine. All right. This should be that color. So let's see. That's what we're testing pre-market. So is that a good entry is my question to myself. And if it is, what's our first target? Looks to be like it would be around 119.50. Might have dropped that weekly level. No, I think there's just two levels here. Actually. And the lower of the two, sitting like right here. It's a daily level. Definitely something right there. Not seeing a lot of like really strongly developed, at least not on these higher time frames, support and resistance in this range. There could be something I'm thinking around this 133 level, could also be psychological. I'm not going to see anything recent off of that or testing that. Yeah, the few tests that we've got in that range, though, that looks like a pretty decent level that we'll want to watch. I know zoomed out this far, it looks kind of tight, but... Oh, how did I get on the 4 hour? Yeah, still looks good as a daily level, though, so I'll leave that as it is. Didn't realize I had accidentally clicked the 4 hour chart. All right. There's something happening around this range. It's probably a little higher where this rejection really kind of starts from. Yeah, right about there. All right, let's see where that puts us kind of with the recent price action. All right, so here's what I'm thinking on Shop, although let me check this level out real quick. I'm thinking I want to take a shot at it over this 114.87 level. My only concern is, are we kind of jumping in too soon? I think the answer is no. I think it gives us a shot at 128.60 over that 114.87. If we're going to take a long shot or a shot at a distant upside target, I think we need to give this as much room as possible on the downside, which also, in my opinion, means that you need to make sure that you're buying plenty of time on your contracts. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at this weekly level. I was kind of thinking about maybe, I think there's a level developing somewhere around this 113 even. Could be some psychological stuff happening there as well. Nice round number 113, but I think I'm going to stick with this weekly level. So we've got a weekly entry, weekly stop loss average down, and a weekly PT1. So everything kind of higher time frame. Further indication that, again, make sure that you're planning or trading this with plenty of time on your contracts. All right, let's take a look at what happens over 128.60 on this hourly chart. I might need, okay, I was going to say I might need to zoom out a little more. All right, so over 128.60, I like, this needs to move up a little bit. 133.32, and over that there is a pretty decent level here. Also quick flip of support and resistance on the way down last time we passed through this range, so I would say let's make sure that we're scaling out there at 137.29. Plenty of meat on that bone even with those price targets. Downside, where does that become interesting? I think it becomes interesting if we break back down below 110.88. Could have an hourly level that's just above this daily level that I think we would want to pay attention to and should, yeah, take profits at right here. So this being our entry. Share the stop loss with the upside trade plan. Take first profits there at 105.37. This is not a weekly level. And the next profit take formed a nice bottom down here. I don't have enough to say it's a support and resistance level on the chart at the moment, but I'll bet if we go back and check it, we'll see some good, clean bounces and rejections off that same level. Let's just check real quick. Make sure I'm not blowing smoke. Yep, there's one rejection. Couple of nice bounce. Yeah, that's definitely a good level. I didn't just pick it out of my thin air. All right, big fair value gap to the downside off this pump there on the 11th. Is that an earnings report? Yep. Turn the indicators on. Sure was an earnings report. So let's see historically what shop has done below 102.57. Kind of eyeballing something in this 92.15 range though. Also, I need to hurry up so I've got time to get this SPY plan done. Come on, show me some candles. Here we go. You know what? Let's not get crazy greedy. I think that there's some more room to the downside, but I could also make a case based on historical price action for 96.85 being a good third price target to the downside. So let's use that. So this is what our shop plans are going to look like. Again, kind of a liberal stop loss on this upside plan. So keep that in mind. Make sure you buy plenty of time. Or trade shares, either or. All right, here's what, whoops, copy link. Here's what our shop live stream plans look like. And one in the watch lists. All right, so what are we looking at here on shop? We're looking for a break over 120.77 to continue to play this to the upside. I'm kind of wondering, do we have an earlier opportunity? Actually, that is, it looked closer than it really is on the weekly chart. Didn't we have we had on the 24-hour chart, right? Or am I thinking of the other plan that we just did? No, I am. We had that 333 in the way on the daily for God, what did we just do the trade plan for? Plug. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. Is there an earlier entry? I mean, if there is, it's right here at the stop loss average down. Let's leave it. I don't want to. I think this is one that patience is going to be worth the wait. Patience will pay off essentially on this one. Is my thought. All right, so let's talk through it. We're looking for a break over 120.77. That should give us targets at 128.60, 133.32, and 137.29 with a stop loss average down at 114.87. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 110.88. That should bring targets at 105.37, 102.57, and 96.85 with a shared stop loss average down with the upside plan there at 114.87. All right, we are 5 minutes out from market open. I am cutting it close, but I'm going to go ahead and get to work on this SPY plan. I'll get it out as soon as possible. Might be shortly after the open, but I'll get it out ASAP. Just a reminder, because the markets are closed in remembrance of President Jimmy Carter on Thursday the 9th, we will not have a live stream on Thursday the 9th, but we will be back next Tuesday the 14th at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So until then, as we always say here on the FOMO live streams, plan your trades, trade your plans, go out there, get some green, keep your wins big, make your losses small. I will see you all in the chats, and I will see you back here next Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for joining me this morning. I do appreciate it. I'll talk to you all then. Have a great day.